Hey guys, welcome to In Hindsight and my review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So this is another film in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, obviously the follow-up to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, which is a very kind of beloved, well-received film. Pretty much all the cast returns with the notable addition of Kurt Russell, also joining this film. The first one, like I said, was, kind of loved. It was sort of a different take on the superhero genre. It was just the comedy was sort of different from the other ones. It was this kind of also, it was an unknown property. It was a risky film that really paid off for Marvel, but it was this kind of ragtag group coming together, and it really succeeded just on every level in terms of that. In terms of this follow-up, I think it doesn't reach the heights that the first one did, unfortunately. I think it's kind of a fairly significant step down from the first Guardians of the Galaxy, but there are still some things to enjoy in it, but just not nearly at the same level of quality. Most of the characters do return. I found that most of them did feel kind of similar to they did in the first one. They did try to add some depth to them. One thing I would start with in terms of my issues with it is a lot of the comedy didn't work. Whereas in the first film, I thought they managed to, most of the comedy came from just sort of the natural interaction of these characters. It came out of that you believed that Star-Lord and Gamora and Drax and Rocket, the way that they interacted, you believed that was how these characters were, and those natural interactions just seemed funny. They were just humorous situations, and that really brought on so much of the comedy that felt natural. In this one, they really tried to make everyone kind of a comedian, and it felt like they were just kind of nonstop telling jokes. In particular, I would say Drax was a kind of a real letdown for me in this film. Whereas in the first one, it felt like he had just a particular character, and the way his character was, it made a lot of moments really funny. But in this film, it felt like they tried to make him a stand-up comedian. He's just constantly telling jokes. He's constantly just laughing obnoxiously. He's constantly trying to do these things to be funny, and it just felt so over the top, like it was really forced. And that sucks because I really enjoyed him in the first one. I think Dave Bautista is really funny and can do a good job with this character. I just felt like it wasn't really served by what they gave him on the page. Additionally, I thought that some of the action scenes in this one were not all that well handled. In the first one, there were some great set pieces, but in this one, most of the stuff, especially with the one kind of nominal villain in the film, the Sovereign, which are the gold people you see in the trailer, all the action scenes with them kind of seemed muddled. They kind of looked pretty similar, sort of samey. It's all sort of bright and shiny, but it just doesn't, none of it stood out. None of it really felt unique. It all felt kind of like it blended together, which is kind of unfortunate because, again, there was some really good action set pieces in the first film. To kind of go along with the comedy aspect of this, I think one thing that didn't really work as well as it should have was some of the character moments. They did try to get into more depth with these characters in this film, and I think some of it works. I would say much more of it than the comedy worked. For me, about 70% of the comedy probably didn't work, but in this, I would say more than half of these character moments that they tried to have to kind of give these characters depth and more emotion, I think it did work, especially anything kind of involving Michael Rooker's character, Yondu. He had some really nice moments with Rocket, and really nice moments with Star-Lord. I think all of that was pretty well done. I enjoyed it, especially towards the end. They have a couple of nice scenes that really kind of brought me up after I didn't enjoy a lot of this film. Some of those scenes near the end really kind of salvaged some of it for me. There are moments between Nebula and Gamora that I really didn't like in this film. I thought that relationship was not well dealt with. Also, a lot of the stuff having to do with Star-Lord and Kurt Russell's character, I won't give away any spoilers in terms of who that character is, but there's a relationship there that they try to kind of deal with, and I think most of that also, unfortunately, didn't work. I would be remiss also to talk about a Guardians movie without talking about the music, because the music is such a significant part of the first film, and it really stands out. There are songs that you remember. It really just it flowed with that movie so well, and obviously it seems like they tried to do that again with Volume 2. Unfortunately, again, I feel like it just didn't live up to what the first one kind of set. It just wasn't as well done. There were some good songs, but none of them really stood out the same way as they did in the first one, unfortunately, so it just wasn't really all that memorable. Again, so this movie's kind of a letdown, unfortunately. I was disappointed. I really enjoyed the first Guardians, and this one just is not up to par for me. Again, there are some character moments that work. There are some most of the character moments work. There are jokes that land and that are funny. There are bits that are very funny in it. And a lot of the kind of the world that has been built by James Gunn here it feels like the same world. It still feels like it's nice. It's still something I want to see more of. So I am excited that he's coming back to do the third one. But I hope they kind of take some of the notes from some of the criticisms people have had of this one and sort of go back to more of the formula they had in the first one, where everything felt more balanced and more natural. And I think that they'll really have another good film on their hands in terms of the third one. But again, because of all the problems I've kind of already said in it, I think I can't give this film much more than a 5 out of 10, unfortunately. Just too many issues. There were some things that worked, and if the comedy works for you largely, I think you will enjoy this film more than I did, because if those moments land and you did enjoy all of the kind of emotional moments in it, you might enjoy this film far more than me. Unfortunately, just most of that did not work. So yeah, that's been my review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Thanks for checking the channel out. Please, like the video, subscribe, and check out our other ones. Thanks.